there's no introduction. Ronald Lee.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. How's everyone today? Good? Awesome. All right, so can everyone see the screen? No. If you can't see the screen, you probably wanted to change maybe your seat so you can see it. Today, I'm going to be talking about visual branding, or more specifically, the name of my talk is using visual imagery to improve your branding and marketing. Or another way to call my talk today is 3 things to think about when getting your visual branding in 20 minutes. So today, we're going to cover a few things. We're going to talk about why visual imagery is important. We're going to talk about targeting your ideal audience. And we're going to be talking about working with a photographer. Now, today, visual imagery encompasses photos and videos. So I'll be talking primarily as a photographer, but this applies also to video as well. So is it all right if I ask you a few questions here? Which of these would you rather eat? Would you rather eat this or this? This one, right? Okay. Which one of these would you rather buy to live in? Would you rather live here, this fine basement suite here, or would you rather live here? There? Awesome. Great. Now, who would you rather do business with? Would you rather do business with this gentleman? Or perhaps one of these guys? Or these guys here? All right, so you guys can see why it's important to have a good visual representation for your brand. Is it all right if I tell you more about myself? So I am a photographer, videographer, and Google marketer. I started as a filmmaker back when there actually was a film industry here in Vancouver. And then I became a lifestyle coach for a short stint. And then from there, I became a marketer, which I still am doing today. And somewhere along the line of being a marketer, I also became a photographer and videographer. Now, why that came about is because I've been photographing pretty much since my teenage years back in the film days. Some of you guys might remember that. But for me, it was always a passion and a hobby. I didn't do it professionally until about 3 years ago when I became a Google photographer, photographing for Google. And there I realized that my love for art superseded my love for business and marketing, which it's still very strong. So I decided to go more into photos and video. So today, I am a Google photographer and marketer. I do brand marketing as well as photography and videography, as well as a few other things. Some of you might know me from some other network groups around the city. I do some mentorship and community building. So 2 points about today. I could talk all day on the subject of photos and videos for business and marketing, but because we only have 20 minutes, I'm going to try to finish within that 20 minutes and take questions at the end. But please do feel free to follow up with me afterwards. My contact information will be on the screen at the end. I'm happy to answer any of your questions regarding your branding and marketing. Second, again, even though we're talking about photography as the context of this 20-minute talk, everything I'm talking about will apply to your videography as well. Now, the first point I want to address is why is visual imagery important for your business? Before I go through the slides, anyone have an answer to that question? First impressions. Okay, excellent.
Picture says 1,000 words.
Picture is worth 1,000 words. Awesome. Faster processing, excellent. Okay, so those are 3 great points. Google rewards photos and videos. Now today, how many of you guys have ever heard of Google? Okay, how many of you guys have used Google search within the last week? Okay, how many of you guys use Google search for everything and don't use the yellow pages at all anymore? Awesome. Well, you know then that you have to be on the first page of Google, preferably at the top. 99% of the clicks happen on the first page. It's been estimated 95% of the clicks happen in the first 3. So you want to be up there, and Google is heavily rewarding photos and video today because they know people aren't reading. Second reason, mobile is outpacing desktop use. Now, why is this significant? how many of you guys have a mobile device, either a tablet or a phone? Okay? Now, when you're looking at your screen, do you like actually reading small text on it? How many of you guys use your mobile device to look at videos? I'm addicted to YouTube, so I don't mind admitting that fact. When you guys are looking at things on your computer or on your mobile, do you prefer to see nice photos or do you prefer to see a big chunk of text to read? Photos. Photos because that's what makes the first impression that processes really fast and is worth 1,000 words. Now, because mobile sales are so astronomical today and everyone has a mobile device, people are not looking at the mobile device to read every little fact about something. They want to get an impact of your brand right away to decide whether or not to see you in that split second. So photos and videos today are designed to resize for your mobile device, or rather the display software is resizing it for you. So because photos and videos are optimized for mobile, these are an automatic advantage you have when you use photos and videos for your marketing. Now, we touched on this already as well. No one likes to read on screen. How many of you guys actually do? Like, I don't. I really resisted buying a Kindle and never use it. So basically, today, YouTube and photos is really the way. Last but not least, photos and videos are key for your brand marketing. Now, we're going to talk about this a lot more, but the reality today is if you don't use any visual marketing for your brand, you're not going to make enough impressions, and you're not going to be noticed and remembered. Now, why is that? Well, let's get to the second part, targeting your audience. Now, how many of you guys, when you do your photos and videos or brand your company or try to market your service, want to sell to everyone in the world? It doesn't matter who it is. If they have money, you want them as a customer. Well, the answer, all of you guys are lying. The answer is you guys want to hit everyone. But the reality is, you can't hit everyone, because if you try to sell to everyone, you're selling to no one, because you cannot reach them with your message. So you want to figure out who is your ideal audience, who is your top best clients that will be your evangelists, and who will refer people to you. So when you figure out who your ideal audience is, then you want to figure out their psychographics and demographics. Now, how many of you guys know what psychographics are? Demographics is basically their age, where they are, how much money they make. But psychographics is more important. It's how they think. So if you can figure out how they're thinking in relation to your product or service and how you can connect with them on that, this is the start of building a relationship. Now, today, at least 50%, is this working? Okay, at least 50% of your customers are ready to buy before they even contact you. And that's because they have already researched the heck out of you. They looked you up online. They've seen your photos. They've seen your videos. They've seen whatever you have to sell. They looked at your benefits. So they are connecting to you because you have this strong brand message which is directed towards them. Now, it's okay to have several categories of businesses and target different audiences for each one, but each one of these verticals must be specifically targeted deeply. Now, think of your photos as and videos as art. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, your photos and videos are designed to tell a story to your ideal audience. You want to make that emotional connection. You want your photos and videos to emote to your audience so that they will remember you. People buy on emotion. People remember the emotional experience they have with a brand. So you want your images to be compelling to represent who you are to your audience. If you're not compelling, you're not going to be remembered. So think about all your visual marketing from now on, from your photos, your headshots, to any lifestyle photos you do, to any product photos or how-to videos. Think of them as the artistic expression of who you are and your brand. As well, have an overall plan. Now, very often, I'll meet people that will say, "Oh, I just want a photo session, and I want a video series." But they just want it because they think it'll help them get more customers. They haven't thought far enough ahead as how will they fit into your overall marketing scheme. Now, ideally, you would have not just a business plan, but you would have a marketing plan. The marketing plan, some would argue, is even more important than your business plan, which pretty much gets outdated the moment you write it. Your marketing plan is how you execute your sales process and how you reach out to your customers. So how do photos and videos fit into your marketing plan? Are you using photos as a way to grab people's attention and videos to connect with people and display the attributes of your brand? It doesn't matter what you're selling. It could be a service. It could be a product. Now, whatever you have, it's important to be able to show why your service or product is better than everyone else's, so you become the obvious choice. Now, this is actually more difficult than it sounds because, as you see in online, there are a lot of really ineffective photos and videos out there that don't do that. So, if you want to stand out with your competitors, make sure that you have an overall plan that fits in with your brand marketing. And then from there, everything you do creates an emotional response to get people to come to you first at that moment that they're looking for you. All right, now let's talk about a case study. How many of you guys have heard of a business inspiration coach named Marie Forleo? Show of hands. A few of you guys? I suggest you guys go to YouTube or online and do a Google for her name. Now, the story behind Marie, she's actually been on the inspirational, motivational talk scene for a very short time. She started as a business coach a few years ago, and she started doing videos on YouTube talking about business tactics and business techniques. Now, because from day one, she started doing really high-end photos and videos, like all her videos are personally done in the studio. She's got many, many photos of herself, and she's created this brand around her personality. People started liking her work so much, they started asking her for personal questions on how to, on motivational things, how to get over setbacks and challenges. So she became from a business coach to an overall motivational speaker, and she's been on Oprah, she's been everywhere. Her videos are great, and it's all because she got noticed by building a powerful visual brand for herself. So I've created something called the Marie Forleo Experience, basically just reverse engineering what she's done and creating a package for people on how to do that. And this is basically something that I've been coaching before after I started doing my marketing coaching, based on something I call platform building. Now, platform building is what you want to build for yourself if you're a personality or a speaker or an expert and you want to be known. This is what you present to media. This is what people will look at you and try to figure out what you're about in that split second that they hear about you and Google you. So this platform that she has built for herself is tremendously great, and a lot of it relies really on her videos and her photos. So again, I highly encourage you to watch any of her videos. You'll fall in love with her immediately. All right, number 3, working with a photographer. So here are some tips on how to work with a photographer. In the photography, videography world, it is a fact that how much you invest in your photography and videography does correlate to quality. Now, the reason for that is because today, anyone can be a photographer, anyone can be a videographer. You can go to Best Buy today and buy a very high-end camera that does great work or great imagery, but whether or not the quality of the work is there really depends on the experience and skill of the person doing your photos or video. Today, everyone thinks they're a photographer, but the reality is, as you guys have probably tried yourselves, if you put an iPhone in the hands of a good photographer, he can probably make you look really good. But you can take a very expensive high-end camera and put it into the hands of someone who just wants to do some quick photos, and the results are not the same. If you invest in your marketing, it will pay off in the long run. And this especially applies to your visuals, because you only have that first split second to make that first impression, and you don't want to go back and redo your work afterwards. You know, if you do invest a lot of time and energy in making your visual branding, not even talking about the amount of dollar investment you put in there, you don't want to go back and do it over and over again because you got it wrong the first time. Second, find the best photographer you can. If they're outside your price range, negotiate. You want to try to work with someone who understands your brand and who understands how to use the medium to help you promote yourselves. Now, typically, you want to find the best person you can. The work shows how they interact with you, their work ethic, the professionalism, and the product speaks for itself. You don't want to try any new photographers, new videographers, film students who do not have a lot of experience behind them, because at the end, you don't know what you're getting, and it might end up being worse than you thought. And it's better to have no video than to have a really bad video. I'd love to talk to you guys more about video at some point, because there's a lot to be said about content, but we won't today. But nonetheless, if you find a photographer or videographer who is a little outside your price range, if you go talk to them and plead your case about why you want to work with them and how much you love their work, very often they may listen to you and work with you if they really believe that you have a great brand and that you're a go-getter and you're passionate and they really believe in what you're doing. So it's up to you still to promote and sell yourself to them. But very oftentimes, a lot of photographers and videographers will work below their fee for projects that they believe in and they're passionate about themselves. How do you tell if it's a good photographer or videographer or not? Look at their past work, talk to them, see if you get along or not. There are a lot of photographers out there, and there's probably a photographer for each one of you, and that might not be the same person. Now, number 3, date your photographer. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is, if you find a good photographer, think of it as a long-term relationship, because today, photographers and videographers, good ones, are not easy to find. If you have a good relationship with someone that's working, you won't want to just do one series of work with them. You want to do multiple, because they can deliver. Conversely, if you're working with a photographer or videographer who is not giving you the results that you want, the photos are not hitting the brand essence that you have, the videos are coming in with bad sound, bad quality, it's okay to dump that photographer and find someone else, because at the end, it's your work. And you have a say into it. Don't make the mistake of trying to find the lowest price photographer or giving the photographer complete, total control over your image. Ideally, you guys will discuss first what you want, and a good photographer will be able to give that to you. The only case where a photographer will not listen to you, and that's okay, is if you commission someone to do art photos. Because if it's art, then really, you're trusting the photographer to make you look spectacular in that way. All right, so we're at the end of the presentation. I think I have a few minutes for questions, so maybe we'll take 3. Any questions from the audience? Oh, yes.
You were saying if they're above your, negotiated if it's above a certain fee. I don't even know what a starting point for a photographer is anymore.
That's a good question. So regarding my comment about negotiating to get the photography you want, her question was, well, what are going rates? What do rates start? Photography, much like internet marketing and social media and everything else, it's still the wild, wild west. There is no governing body that standardizes pricing. So the best way is to really talk to a few people about what they paid for their photography, talk to a few professionals, and you'll find there's a big range from very little to what some of you would consider to be very high, but of course worth it. Now, what you want to do is figure out, if you see someone's work that you want, figure out what the rate is. Figure out how much are you willing or able to invest in that, and have a conversation with them, because it's really a one-on-one thing. Sometimes, you might find one great photographer or videographer in the area that you are, that the way they structure and price their work is way different from everyone else's. You find it typically with weddings. You have the low end, and you have the super, super high end, and there's no middle ground, so which way do you choose? So this is really up to what kind of results you want and how much you're willing to negotiate with. So it's a one-on-one conversation. Okay, question number 2 from anyone. I think we're all good, aren't we? Okay, great. So I have some cards on the side. I'll be here until after the break. And if you have any more questions, feel free to come up and say hi, or just say hi anyway. I probably know half of you in the room already, as you know, I like to network and meet you. And I like to give referrals and like getting referrals. So basically, if I don't know you, I'd be happy to say hi and add you to part of my network. All right, so again, my name is Ronald Lee. My contact information is on the side. Feel free to reach out. And hope you have a good rest of the afternoon.